Formula One scandal. Lewis Hamilton has been disqualified from the 2025 Chinese Grand Prix after an FIA technical inspection. Ferrari in crisis. What happened to Hamilton's car? How does this affect the championship? Stay until the end because this is going to be a hot topic. Do you think Hamilton's disqualification is fair, or is it an unfair blow to Ferrari? Let us know your opinion in the comments. Lewis Hamilton has been disqualified from the 2025 Chinese Grand Prix after a technical inspection revealed that his car did not comply with FIA regulations. The steward's decision has had a major impact on the championship and left Ferrari without points in a key race. The problem detected was with the skid block, a key part located on the underside of the car, responsible for preventing excessive wear on the floor and ensuring the car is not too low to the ground. The FIA requires this part to have a minimum thickness of 9 mm in all measurements. In the case of Hamilton's Ferrari, measurements taken by the stewards revealed that the part measured 8.6 mm on the left side, 8.6 mm in the center, 8.5 mm on the right side. All of these figures are below the regulatory minimum, which led the stewards to immediately issue the disqualification. Ferrari acknowledged the error and did not appeal, claiming it was an unintentional failure in the car's preparation. However, this situation has raised many questions about the team's technical procedures and the potential impact this could have had on the car's performance. In the case of the Chinese GP, the track conditions and the aggressive curbing could have contributed to abnormal wear on the part on Hamilton's Ferrari. However, the rules are clear. Any measurement below the regulatory minimum results in an automatic disqualification, regardless of the cause. Most worrying for Ferrari is that this was not the only technical issue in the race. Their other driver, Charles Leclerc, was also disqualified for a different infraction, suggesting there may have been structural flaws in the team's technical controls. The big question now is whether Ferrari can prevent these types of mistakes from repeating themselves in future races, or if this is an indication of deeper problems within the team. The 2025 Chinese Grand Prix was a complete disaster for Ferrari. What seemed like a promising weekend, with Lewis Hamilton winning the sprint race, ended up turning into a nightmare with the disqualification of both cars from the main race. The problem wasn't limited to the technical violation on Hamilton's car. Minutes after the FIA announced his disqualification, another piece of news hit the team even harder. Charles Leclerc was also disqualified. In this case, the irregularity detected was different. After the post-race technical inspection, the stewards found that Leclerc's car was below the minimum permitted weight. The FIA requires that all cars, once their fuel has been drained and damaged parts replaced, have a minimum weight of 800 kilograms. Leclerc's Ferrari weighed 799 kilograms on the scale. A single kilogram difference is enough to disqualify a car, as the regulations are strict in this regard. Ferrari accepted the measurement results without complaint, acknowledging that it was a team error. This double disqualification not only deprived Ferrari of important points, but also exposed serious flaws in its technical preparation. In a category where every detail counts, errors like this are unacceptable for a team aiming to fight for the championship. Ferrari went from being just 1 point behind Red Bull in the Constructors Championship to falling 19 points behind, tied with Williams for 4th place. In a season where McLaren, Red Bull, and Mercedes are battling at the top of the standings, these kinds of mistakes can mean the difference between winning or losing the title. Mistakes in Formula One can be costly, but the most worrying thing is when they are repeated. If Ferrari wants to keep its championship hopes alive, it needs to resolve these issues immediately. The upcoming race in Miami will be a crucial test to determine whether the team has learned its lesson or if this was just the beginning of a deeper crisis. The disqualifications of Lewis Hamilton and Charles Leclerc have sent shockwaves through the championship standings. Ferrari, which before the race was in a favorable position to close in on the lead, now faces a severe blow that could affect its hopes for the remainder of the season. Before the race, Ferrari was just 1 point behind Red Bull in the Constructors' Championship. But with the loss of the 18 points Hamilton and Leclerc would have earned, the Italian team has dropped to 4th place, tied with Williams and 19 points behind the Milton Keynes team. This change in the standings has also benefited other teams. Mercedes has managed to close the gap on McLaren, which remains the leader of the Constructors' Championship. The gap between the two teams is now just 21 points, leaving the title fight wide open. In the drivers' standings, Hamilton has lost the 8 points corresponding to his 6th place, while Leclerc has lost 10. This setback further complicates the situation for the Briton, who is still seeking his first Grand Prix victory with Ferrari. Despite the disqualification, Hamilton retains the 8 points he earned in Saturday's sprint race. However, the loss of points in the main race is a significant blow to his attempt to stay in the championship fight. For Charles Leclerc, the situation is even more frustrating. After a 2024 season in which he was in the title fight until the final races, his start to 2025 has been marked by ups and downs and technical issues that have prevented Ferrari from realizing its potential. Another team that has taken advantage of the situation is Haas. Esteban Ocon, who originally finished in 7th place, has moved up to 5th, achieving the American team's best result since 2022. Andrea Kimi Antonelli, Mercedes' young talent, has also climbed positions and continues to score points in his debut season. At the bottom of the standings, Lance Stroll and Carlos Sainz have been the main beneficiaries. Originally outside the points, they have now moved up to 9th and 10th respectively, earning valuable points for Aston Martin and Williams. The big question now is how this blow will affect Ferrari in the upcoming races. Red Bull has proven to be a strong contender, McLaren remains at the top with a competitive car, and Mercedes is improving its performance. Lewis Hamilton's disqualification from the 2025 Chinese Grand Prix was an unexpected blow to his season and to Ferrari. What looked like a promising weekend with a victory in the sprint race ended with both cars excluded from the final standings due to technical errors. Now the big question is how this will affect the 7-time world champion and his new team in the upcoming races. For Hamilton, this incident represents an obstacle in his attempt to establish himself as a title contender in his first year with Ferrari. After 11 seasons with Mercedes and with a drought of Grand Prix victories since the end of 2021, the Briton arrived at Maranello with the ambition of changing the course of his career. However, this disqualification is a reminder that the road to success will not be easy. Before the Chinese Grand Prix, Hamilton had expressed confidence in Ferrari's progress. After qualifying, he explained that he had made changes to his car's setup to improve race pace, sacrificing speed on a single lap. His statements reflected a calculated strategy and an optimistic approach to his on-track performance. Victory in the sprint seemed to confirm that the decisions made were paying off, but the main race presented a different picture. From the start, Hamilton struggled to move through traffic, and his pace wasn't strong enough to challenge for the podium. Contact with his teammate, Charles Leclerc, on the opening lap also didn't help his performance, and after 56 laps, he crossed the finish line in 6th place before receiving the penalty. The skid block issue has cast doubt on the car's preparation and Ferrari's ability to comply with FIA technical regulations. Although the team admitted it was a genuine error not intended to gain an advantage, the situation sends a clear message. Even the smallest details can make the difference between scoring points or being eliminated from the standings. For Ferrari, this incident is a wake-up call. In a season where McLaren, Red Bull, and Mercedes have demonstrated a high level of competitiveness, losing points due to technical errors is unacceptable. The Italian team not only needs to regain the confidence of its drivers, but also demonstrate that it can offer a reliable car that meets regulatory parameters. Another factor to consider is how this will affect Hamilton's morale. Throughout his career, the Briton has demonstrated an exceptional ability to overcome adverse situations, but Ferrari is a team with a very different structure and culture than Mercedes. The media pressure and expectations are immense, and every mistake is scrutinized by both the press and fans. Upon his arrival at Ferrari, Hamilton made it clear that he was ready for the challenges of joining the Scuderia. However, this disqualification tests his patience and confidence in the project. His relationship with the team will be key in the upcoming races, and his ability to remain calm and focus on performance will be decisive for his success in 2025. On the other hand, the upcoming race in Japan will be a crucial opportunity for Ferrari. The team must react quickly and ensure technical errors are not repeated. In such a tight championship, any disqualification or retirement can make all the difference in the title fight, and the Chinese Grand Prix has already cost 18 points in the constructors' standings. The unknowns are on the table. Can Ferrari correct its mistakes and provide Hamilton with a car that allows him to compete without worry? How will the Briton respond to this setback, and what impact will it have on his performance in the upcoming races? The answers will begin to emerge in Japan, where both Hamilton and Ferrari will have the opportunity to show they have learned from this mistake and remain a real threat in the championship fight. The 2025 Chinese Grand Prix will go down in history as a turning point in the season. What could have been a solid result for Ferrari ended in absolute disaster with the disqualification of both its drivers. Lewis Hamilton, in his second race with the Scuderia, was deprived of a 6th-place finish that would have allowed him to continue scoring points in his fight for the championship. The disqualification due to uneven wear on the skid block of his car raises serious questions about the team's preparation and the rigor of pre-race checks. This isn't the first time Ferrari has faced technical problems of this kind, and if it fails to correct them in time, it could be out of the fight for the drivers' and constructors' titles much sooner than expected. Beyond the lost points, this incident highlights an uncomfortable reality. Formula One is a sport where every detail counts, and any oversight, no matter how small, can mean the difference between success and failure. Teams like Red Bull and McLaren have demonstrated an exceptional ability to stay within regulatory limits without compromising performance. Ferrari, on the other hand, continues to make costly mistakes. For Hamilton, this is a significant setback in his first year with Ferrari. After more than a decade at Mercedes, where the team operated with almost millimeter precision, the Briton now faces a very different situation. Ferrari is a team with a glorious history, but also a long list of strategic and technical errors that have cost titles in the past. The big question is whether Hamilton can influence the team structure enough to help solve these problems. His experience and championship mentality are invaluable assets, but the key will be how Ferrari responds internally. The Scuderia must demonstrate that it can react quickly and improve its processes to prevent these types of errors from happening again. The next race in Japan will be a crucial test. It will not only be important to see how Hamilton responds on track, but also to assess whether Ferrari has learned its lesson and implemented changes to ensure its cars comply with regulations without compromising performance. This incident also leaves an open question for fans. Was it just an isolated error, or are we seeing the beginning of a larger crisis at Ferrari? The season is still long and there's time to recover, but what happens in the next few races could define the fate of Hamilton and his team in 2025. Formula One is a sport where every weekend can completely change the narrative of the championship. Now all eyes will be on Ferrari and its ability to correct its course. If you're interested in following this story closely and learning how the season will develop, be sure to subscribe to stay up to date with the latest news. The title fight is still open, and what happens in the next few races could be decisive.